Apple and Technology Expectations and Desires for 2022, Part 2. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Headspace. Meditation made simple. Visit headspace.com/MacVoices for a free 1-month trial. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the second in a MacVoices Live conversation, our last of 2021, where we talked about Apple expectations and technology expectations for the coming year. The panel dug deep into a number of subjects, not the least of which was Siri. And that's where we pick up this conversation, where we dig deep into Siri and what she is, what she isn't, what they would like to see out of her, and where we really can expect it to go. Let's let the panel do the talking. Why don't we have yet the ability to customize the phrase from any of them?
So you can for a lady, and
I can name a lady anything. Really? When did that happen?
Not anything, but there are multiple trigger names that you can use.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I'm not going to do them here, but I'm aware of that, Jeff. But why can't I just decide to name my smart assistant Watermelon?
I have a hypothesis on that.
Okay,
we knew you did.
It's because Amazon does not want you referring to their product as "Hey, F-head, turn on the lights."
So because of that, Apple's never going to do that.
Okay.
Mofo, why'd you do that?
Hey, you don't need to. You don't need to redact that. It won't trigger anything.
No, I know.
I'm saying, except for Chuck's, since he's already hacked his Echo.
I wonder if it's not an AI thing that they pick phrases that they program into it, and they pick phrases that are somewhat unusual and not likely to be. If you just picked a word, you might be much more likely to pick something that would accidentally trigger, and plus they could probably do all kinds of extra training since they know it's just this one word that they have to look at, and then they can start recognizing other things, but that they've got to pick out of everything else going on. So maybe they need to making it customizable would make that not possible.
Yeah, and you also have branding.
You have branding, and also sort of to Patrice's point, the idea that if the TV is on and your trigger phrase or trigger name pops up on a TV show, then your device is going to respond.
Oh, that happens on YouTube all the time.
Yeah. So right now,
and it's not supposed to. That's a weird thing because it's not supposed to, because it's supposed to learn your voice.
Your voice.
Right,
and
but that's hard.
Yeah.
But I think the point is that A lady and S lady are not words that come up in normal dialogue. Like if you're watching a drama or a comedy show, if you watch a YouTube of somebody's telling you how to use the A lady or S lady, it'll come up. But it doesn't come up in Seinfeld reruns.
So there are a lot of people named Alexa or have the nickname Alexa. I know a couple even. So
not in California.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, so that in itself is a problem, and a lot of people have complained about it. Most of them probably named.
Hey, you just said the word.
Alexis.
Sorry.
I've been watching Schitt's Creek, so I know Alexis.
Unfortunately, if you give it a proper name, you're going to run into that. Now, the G lady is, hey,
that's okay, G lady.
It's okay, G lady.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's also why it's
okay.
Hey, because it's Hey, it's not S lady, it's Hey S lady. So that's really not likely to come up in a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Okay, G guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't mean to sidetrack us, but that's something I would like, because it would seem to address at least part of the conversational issue, and make it feel a bit more conversational than me specifically having to say, hey, S lady, hey lady, hey G lady, or whatever the appropriate
hey lady
variations are. So, yeah. Okay. Jeff, what else beyond improved voice?
To go along with the improved voice and the whole, do you remember Knowledge Navigator? That whole concept thing. I would love to see S-Lady take us to a place where we can have more intelligent interaction for day-to-day things, not just the smart home control stuff. So I would like to see this become something that's intelligent enough that I can walk into my office in the morning and say, "Hey, S-Lady, what's my schedule?" And it starts rattling off various things and then gets to one meeting that I'm supposed to go meet someone somewhere. And it realizes that the weather is going to be changing. And as crazy as it sounds, we would actually be getting snow in Colorado. And so then it says, well, we should be having some pretty heavy snow by that point in the afternoon. Do you want to reschedule that appointment or change it to a FaceTime meeting? Mm-hmm. And then I can decide what to do. But I want it to be something where it can be more interactive, like if it was a literal assistant and not a virtual assistant.
So what, I wish I could correct it.
Yeah, what we want is Sarah from what was the show name? Eureka. Do you remember? Have you ever seen that one?
Oh,
yes. Since I've seen that show, I've the first time I always wanted her. I wanted her to be my assistant. I mean, minus the whole killer AI part that was hidden in one show.
Yeah, aside from that.
Yeah, aside from that, I mean, she was like a kind of a virtual person. She was a parent to children and stuff like that. She was like a full-on person, a real personality, and she was helpful.
Well, there's lots of stuff in fictional shows that I'd love to have be real, but.
Yeah, yes, that too. Yeah.
Right,
but I don't think we're that. I don't think we're that far away from it. I mean,
I do.
Not the next couple of years, but it's not like warp drives where we are very far away.
Yeah, Patrice, do you think we are that close? I mean, because right now, even the best of the voice assistants, and pick whichever one you think is best. And clearly, unfortunately, it is not Siri. But you still have a lot of the problems we've been talking about context problems and idiom recognition and all those things, along with the issues of tying their capabilities into other databases, so that you would get something like what Jeff said, that he has a meeting in Boulder 10 miles away and it's going to be snowing, so he should take his galoshes. Or he has a meeting in Hawaii and he should take a swim trunk.
I mean, closeness is relative. I mean, how old is Siri now? 10 years, right? I think that was.
That sounds actually, about right.
Yeah, I think that was even a quiz question. In the next 10 years, probably not. But 20, 30 years, I could definitely see that with AI and so on. Progressing. I mean, as I said, close is relative. It's not as far away as I said warp drives, but it's not anytime soon.
Right, but we need those baby steps to continue moving forward, and letting us give compound commands would be a big step forward.
Yes.
I think it's right now to do a specific lighting scenario, say in the hallway. I have to turn on the lights, set a specific color, and then set the brightness. If it's something that's outside of one of the presets that I've already created. And that shouldn't be three unique things. That should be one thing with three elements in it.
Yep.
That's pretty much what I do for the podcasting here. I get 3 things to go off at once. But I'm trying to figure out now is how to get the apps to launch on the iPhone and the iMac simultaneously. So I've got my camera. All I have to do is put my camera there, and I'm hooked up.
So you're going to do it with shortcuts, and you can do conditionals. So you could set up a conditional in the shortcut so that if it's running on the iPhone, this part activates. If it's running on the Mac, this part activates instead.
If this and that. I wish, the one thing I wish you could do with her is it go a little further than just having a conversation with her. I find that I have a lot of problems that it doesn't always understand me.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, I would like to be able to go, no, and then repeat, no, find this, without having to go through that whole stupid thing. I mean, it boggles my mind that the only thing that's really changed on Siri, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, is instead of hearing that chunk chunk like on Law and Order, it goes, huh?
Well, it would be nice to be able to say, hey, S lady, what do you think I just said? And have it repeat it back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to me, that would be really helpful because oftentimes I'll say something like, hey, S lady, turn on the office lights, and every light in my place turns off instead.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
What did I say that made the S lady think I wanted to turn off every single light in my apartment?
Well, turn off the lights instead of turn off his lights.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll do that sometimes. I'll just say turn off or turn on, even though that's not what I have written as the trigger automation for the scene.
So to your point, Frank, when you were saying that, I was just thinking about that. I would say about 10 to 20% of my conversations is me getting frustrated with her, because she doesn't understand, and then you repeat, and then she doesn't understand it either, and you try the third time, and then you just say F off, because
Patrice,
then you're frustrated.
Patrice, but take that further. I have told the S lady F off, and it responds.
Yes, she does.
You curse at it and stuff, and it goes,
it says your name in tone.
Yeah.
My workflow for that,
she got.
my workflow for that is, hey, S lady, do whatever. It doesn't work. Hey, S lady, do whatever. It doesn't work. A lady, do whatever, and have it work.
And that is the frustrating part.
But you also, I mean, other than just your basic commands, don't you have to then set up duplicate scenes, duplicate actions, duplicate everything?
It depends on what it is. So yes, I have set up duplicate scenes, and then I've created custom A-Lady commands that are the same as what I would be saying to S-Lady. And I've had to do that in situations where you can just very easily set up something through HomeKit, but it becomes this more complicated thing through the A-Lady platform. So I'll get it all set up, but then I have to give it a custom command that's the same as what it would be on the HomePod. Otherwise, I have to remember 2 different things. So what I'm doing, this is not what normal people do.
No.
And I'm totally aware of that. And the frustration that I have having set up duplicates so that I can fall back on something else is not what most people do. If they just deal with the frustration of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then they move on and then they use it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As I said, like 10 to 20% of my conversations go like that.
So I want to go back to the Frank's point about, be able to follow up. So if I say, hey, S lady, set an alarm, most of the time she will come back and say for when. And I do not have to then say, hey, S lady, 5 p.m. I can just say 5 p.m. And so at least part of that capability is there now. I mean, because I could be wrong, but I don't think that was there early on. I think she would have just ignored you or made an assumption on what alarm you wanted set.
She would have told you she can't do that.
Right. So I feel like you talk about baby steps. That's a real baby step, but it is a baby step. And so we're getting there.
Yeah, I have one command that is really funny. I think I set it up as a Siri shortcut, and it works on the home, or it's supposed to work on the HomePod, but it needs access to an app. And every time I try that, she asks me to deny or allow that access, and I tell her to allow, and she just keeps repeating. And you can continue that for the next half hour.
I hate when that happens.
And and it's like she never gets to the point where she either gives up or says, "Well, yeah, let's do it." So
I can outlast you.
Funny.
This edition of Mac Voices is supported by Headspace. Headspace is meditation made simple. Ever feel like your mind doesn't have an off switch? Or that tension is constantly traveling through your body? Or do you feel tired no matter how much you sleep? That's just a few of the many ways stress, anxiety, and sleeplessness can harm your mind and body. This year, why not make small changes to your daily routine that have a big influence on your mental health and well-being? Start your year with Headspace. Have you heard about the Headspace mini meditations? These are 1, 2, or 3 minute sessions that are great if you find yourself under stress and are ready to chew a hole in your desk. They help you sit back, take a moment to relax and regroup, and realize that whatever is stressing you out really shouldn't. It just isn't worth it. And that's just one small aspect of the Headspace library, which is something I really enjoy. No one-size-fits-all approach, but a vast library of meditations to help you address whatever you're trying to achieve. Improving your focus? Sleep better? Relieve stress and anxiety? Headspace has something for you. However you're feeling, try Headspace at headspace.com/MacVoices and get 1 month free of their entire mindfulness library. This is the best Headspace offer available, so go to headspace.com/MacVoices today. Headspace.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Headspace for their support of Mac Voices.
So, Patrice, do you have the problem where you'll tell, say, your HomePod specifically to do something that is set up as a Siri shortcut, and it can't do it?
Yeah, I can't do that.
I can't do that. Or but then you go to your phone or your Apple Watch and it does it.
Yes. Especially the Apple Watch. Like the phone I could understand. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I said like there is massive potential in the HomePod and in Siri, but it's not realized.
Yes. I mean these are the reasons why I wouldn't consider giving a HomePod, a smart speaker, as a gift to any family member, because I don't want them to deal with this frustration. Also, I don't want them to be calling me all the time, trying to get me to troubleshoot why their smart speaker doesn't do what it's supposed to. And ultimately, it just wouldn't be something that gets used. So
I found a way around that, Jeff.
Change your phone number?
No, what I did for one Christmas is everybody knows in my family that I use Apple. So I gave everybody Echoes. So they just like, well, he does Apple. I don't know if he knows Echoes. And they were all Windows users. So they're like, oh, well, they are going to figure it out.
That seems kind of evil, Frank.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm that way. Siri will tell you that.
Yeah,
ask her tonight. She goes, is Frank evil? And she'll go, oh, yeah, sure.
I asked before we started the show, and mine said, yeah. Yeah.
And he took your peanut butter.
Yeah. But at least now I know where my peanut butter went.
Yeah. Siri ratted me out.
Jim, you're kind of quiet in this. Are you a user of any of the smart assistants? And if so, how do you feel about
the smile on your face? Is no, you're not.
Yeah. He's enjoying this.
Siri doesn't ever frustrate me because I don't turn Siri on.
There you go.
And I do have an Echo that I got free with some Black Friday order, and I've never plugged it in. An Echo Dot.
Mm-hmm.
My wife uses Siri sometimes, and I hear her, and I'm like, immediately, I'm like, that's not going to work, and it doesn't.
Thing is,
I think I know too much about how the sauce is made or the sausage is made.
Yeah.
So when it first came out, I was like, that's not going to work. We don't have that technology that's going to do that. And I'm actually kind of surprised that people do, I guess, get a fair amount of use out of it.
Yeah.
But
for me, it
they use it a
works.
lot, so it's not that it doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm like in a wheelchair, so for me it's easy. I can just say, hey, unlock the door, turn on this light, turn off that light, and stuff like that.
I guess
I'm in a
if
little studio apartment, so I don't have many things for it to do.
Yeah, and I haven't set up like HomeKit stuff so far, so I don't really have any automations. And there's two of us, so we'd probably get into it's bad enough without us talking to devices that are sitting around.
That was why I brought up the Apple Music voice plan. I'm curious to see where that all goes in this whole equation of Siri and what it does. Apple obviously found it interesting enough to offer us that lower price of a plan for Apple Music. Isn't going to take off.
I think they wanted to do something, and that they figured out that was, they wanted to have a lower price plan. How can we make a crummy plan? And I think they succeeded.
Now they can market it market Apple Music as it starts at, was it $4.90?
$4.99 US.
The sticker with that is you're paying half the price and only getting 30% of what you would have gotten if you paid $10. You would have probably gotten two other services, but now you're paying $5, which is half of the $10 which would have gave you in three services. Now you're paying $5 and getting one service.
But you're only paying $5.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand your math. What?
Yeah, where'd you what two
What three
services?
services?
Okay,
Yeah,
well, let's say I get I have iCloud Plus, so I
Not
get
for
Apple
$10.
TV. The one I think it is. I swear.
No,
I
music
think
by
it's
itself is
14
I was
$10.
looking at it the other day.
Yeah, I think
No.
it's $14.99 for
Is
the
it?
base plan.
Yeah.
I know there's a bunch
Apple
of
One.
stuff in there, but I was
The bundles,
just thinking.
the Apple One bundles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. It's
$14.95, yes, for the individual. Apple
Okay,
Music,
my
Apple
bad.
TV Arcade, iCloud. Yeah.
That's the family
I'm
plan.
bad.
with
Now
200
now
gigs.
Siri's going to lecture me when I get back.
No, that's the
there.
individual plan,
individual.
$14.95.
I'm sorry.
Family is $19.95. I just
Okay.
checked.
So, Jim, I think the biggest stumbling block to the $5 Apple Music plan is going to be the S Lady, because
Right.
it offers a sub-optimal level of performance, and it's going to be very frustrating, I think, for a lot of users.
On the
Yeah.
other hand, that is something Apple can very easily optimize because the domain is very, very limited.
That's true.
Jeff, but I disagree.
Hopefully
with
they're doing that.
I disagree with you. I don't think that we know, I know, we know how that's going to perform, because I'm not sure. Take that back. I know none of us are the target audience for that $4.99 plan.
No.
Right.
So is Siri at its current level of performance good enough for the people who would be the target audiences for that?
I'd say
Because-
no. And that's based on the fact that I use the S Lady to stream music from my HomePod basically all day, every day. And the level of frustration that I have getting it to play what I want as opposed to what it thinks I want is very, very difficult.
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, but what are you asking it to play? Are you asking by artist, by album, or by playlist, or what are you unhappy with?
Okay, so if I ask for something by genre, I may or may not get the genre that I expect, because Apple may or may not be labeling their music in the same way that I am. But if you ask by genre, you're going to get a very specific playlist, and those playlists don't change very often. So you tend to get too much repetition.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's a Siri issue. That's
not
more-
a Siri issue.
No,
that's the back end.
you're right.
Yeah.
That's not a
So
Siri issue.
The labeling is not Apple's fault because Apple doesn't do the labeling. That
Right,
is what.
But if you ask for a genre, Apple is making their own playlist for that genre,
yeah,
and they don't change their playlist very often. I also do have trouble, like if I ask for specific artists,
Mhm.
where it doesn't play the right artist. And maybe I have.
I've not had that problem.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've not had that problem. Sometimes she gets the wrong playlist. I've had that, but like the artists, at least the ones that I remember, which is a fairly limited set, not a problem.
Yeah, and maybe my problem is, or no, maybe there's. I should do a search and see if there's a lot of similarity in names between jazz artists and rap artists, because oftentimes what will happen is if I'm asking, say, for specific jazz artists, I start getting rap music instead. And
Jazz Master John Coltrane.
That's Jazzy John Coltrane. And now, granted, there's a lot of really good rap music out there, but if I want to listen to a jazz artist instead, I'd rather not have it play music that I didn't ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get that a lot, and I think some of that is on the tagging for the music, and some of it is on Siri's interpretation of what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I've used Siri to summon certain albums or certain artists, and I seldom have a problem.
Yeah. Me neither.
Usually, if I ask for an album, it's because somebody has named an album almost a nonsensical name, or something. If it's in English, then I usually get it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that is a cute little misspelling or whatever, then it can get a little wonky. I grant you that. But
I'd like to ask the panel something, if I could.
Yeah.
When you talk to Siri, has anybody else found that if you talk to Siri like you're talking to a 6-year-old child, as opposed to just your regular voice, that it will not respond well as if you're talking to a 6-year-old child? I find if I slur, I will get a better response than if I enunciate everything particularly clearly.
I can say that I have.
I don't know why that
I have not had that problem.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it doesn't work
maybe
better
my voice.
when I enunciate. So maybe, yeah.
Maybe my enunciation is off.
The Mac Voices panel will be back in the next edition of Mac Voices to finally wrap up the conversation about Siri and some other smart home assistants, as well as some other topics. Until then, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.